Try something new in your life. Get into DC Comics. And here to help you is Comic Book Man and Bo with some comic book news.
We love comics, and we want you to love comics. Episode 82, The Wussies of St. Clair.
Hey folks, Comic Book Man here. Welcome once again to my video outhouse. It's time for
DC News number 82.
82, and 82 is coming to you from this place, Alternate Reality, which is located at the intersection of 111th and Kedzie in beautiful downtown Mount Greenwood. Alternate Reality, where all new comics, including all my DC comics, including all my first issue DC comics in
52
September,
of them suckers,
which we're going to get to in just a second, are always 15% off every day for everyone. I don't know if you've heard or not, but DC,
what did you hear?
But BC has this crazy ass plan.
What plan? They're coming to Chicago to talk to you and other retailers specifically about this really nice new plan.
Comrade, would you like 2 bullets or 3 with your gun when you blow your brains out? DC's got this wonderful idea for when Flashpoint ends, and Bo's going to get into this, but when Flashpoint ends with number 5, they're going to reset the DC universe. Well, Barry Allen is going to fix things. Everything's going to go back to the way it was, except for a couple of small changes. A couple of small changes, among them shit canning the entire line of DC comics.
No.
I swear to God, and starting them all over again with brand new first issues. Now we're not talking about stuff like nothing like a new Flash number 1 or new Green Lantern number 1. This is a new Action Comics number 1, a new Detective Comics number 1, Adventure Comics. Adventure Comics number 1. Everything that's a DC Universe book, not kids books, not Vertigo books, and not any of the gaming stuff that what's left of Wildstorm is still doing. But all of the DC Comics books, DC Universe books, are going to be renumbered, starting with new number 1, starting in September, and it'll be a brand new universe. And they're not just renumbering the books; the characters are going to be just a little bit different. Bo, tell us, how are they going to be different?
I think it was 79 or so. We went through the first half of the 52. Here's the rest of them. Action Comics, Grant Morrison and Rags Morales. Good team. Superman the Man of Tomorrow, written by George Perez with art by Jesus Marino. Supergirl, Jesus Marino. Supergirl, written by Michael Green and Mike Johnson. These are the guys who wrote the Green Lantern movie. And drawn by Mahmoud Assar. Superboy from Scott Lobdell, who's writing 3 books for the new DC Universe. Thank you, Bob Harris, for hiring your buddy. Drawn by R.B. Silva and Rob Lean. Blue Beetle from Tony Bedard and Ig Guara. Suicide, I don't know. There's a bunch of new people. Suicide Squad from Adam Glass and Marco Ruby, with a team composed of Harley Quinn, Deadshot, and King Shark. Stormwatch, Paul Cornell, Miguel Sepulveda, featuring Jack Hawksmoor, Midnighter, Apollo, and of all people, the Martian Manhunter.
Oh.
They'll be hunting down heroes.
Is he actually going to look like the Martian Manhunter?
Yes, he's going to look
from
exactly
Brightest
like the
Day,
Martian,
or is he
yes.
going to have the collar? And
Everybody's
got a collar.
He's still wearing the swimsuit.
Oh,
Jim Lee likes collars.
Okay, so everybody gets a collar except for the new Martian Manhunter, who had a collar before in that stupid outfit.
Swimsuit. What does he need a collar for?
He remember the last time they had him before when they killed him. He wore that crummy uniform. Anyway.
You got Blackhawk from G.I. Joe's Mike Costa and Flash's Ken Lashley, a guy who hasn't worked since Flash 1 through 6 years ago. Another friend of Bob Harris. Thank you.
I'm glad they're bringing Blackhawk back.
Yeah. A Sergeant Rock and the Men of War from Ivan Brandon and Tom Derenick. It features the great grandson of Sergeant Rock in a modern-day story.
That would make sense.
All-Star Western.
I'm not crazy about it, but it makes sense.
All-Star Western, Justin Gray, Jimmy Palmiotti, and Moritat, which involves basically a Justice League of the Wild West, and Jonah Hex will be involved in this book.
Modern day Western?
Well, it'll be set in the past.
Oh, okay. So it's not going to be cowboys on motorcycles.
But stuff that happens in All-Star Western will actually have effect on stuff that's going in the updated Justice League book. So everything's all connected. You've got
timeline.
Yes, you've got Deathstroke from Kyle Higgins, Joe Bennett, and Art Thibbert. Grifter from Nathan Edmondson. They finally found a writer who said yes, which will be drawn by Thunder Agents Cafu.
Yes.
Omac from Dan DiDio, Keith Giffen, and Scott Kolbush. Ooh, that book stinks of death already.
Wait a minute, who's doing Omac?
Dan DiDio and Keith Giffen.
Oh, that's dead.
Dead
on our.
But he's a VP, so that means it'll never be published.
DOA. That's DOA.
Teen Titans from Scott Lobdell and Brent Booth, telling a team of a story. The team's going to be composed of Red Robin, Wonder Girl, Kid Flash, and Superboy, who's wearing a black T-shirt with a logo. And he's got this big-ass Superboy tattoo on his arm. And he's still a clone. He's not made up by machine parts. He's still a clone.
Looks like a clone.
No, he's not a clone.
Looks like a machine.
That's just the front cover of that issue. Legion Lost from Fabian Nicieza and Pete Woods, telling the story of the Legion heroes Wildfire, Timberwolf, and Gates, stuck in the present. You'll also have the Legion of Superheroes book from Paul Levitz and Francis Portela. Yes, right, being the former VP means you get a book out of the 52 because they don't want to take him off.
Well, Paul Levitt's the only thing I think he has any interest in doing is Legion of Superheroes.
Hawk and Dove from Sterling Gates, and of all people, Rob Liefeld. Yes, he's back doing Hawk and Dove. Whoopee. Static Shock from John Rosem and Scott McDaniel. You're going, but didn't you tell us a long time ago that was going to be done by someone else? The person who worked on, the female writer who worked on Fringe and a couple other things.
Didn't you?
She got fired.
Oh, well. I guess she's not working on it.
She's not working on it. Voodoo from Ron Mars and Sami Basra. That's why he dropped Witchblade. He picked up a book over at DC. Justice League Dark from Peter Milligan and Michael Janine.
Is that the magic one?
No, it's not the magic one.
Oh, I thought it was a magic Justice
well, actually, John Constantine is a member of this team. It's kind of
so it's a magic Justice.
It's kind of strange and unusual. It's weird. Demon Knights from Peter Milligan, Dionysius Neves, and Auclair Albert. This book is set in the Middle Ages, and it'll star the demon and other supernatural characters. So Peter Milligan's got the franchise on some weird stuff like that.
Okay.
Resurrection Man, you loved that book, didn't you?
Actually, Resurrection Man was a good book.
Resurrection Man
when it was out, like 8 years ago?
Yeah, well, Dan
It was a
Abnett,
good book.
Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning are coming back to do the book with art from Fernando Daguin.
They, as I remember it, and we've got a ton of news here, so let me digress. Didn't they tie him in with Phantom Stranger?
Something
Isn't he like his brother or something?
He's a brother, cousin, and the point behind the character is every time he dies, he comes back to life with a brand new power.
Right.
And this is a book that people at DC thought was kind of cool, so they figured this is the perfect chance to bring him back.
Why'd they cancel it in the first place then?
Because nobody was buying it.
Okay, yeah, so who's going to line up now?
I don't know. I, Vampire from Joss Fialkov and Andrea Sorrentino.
Will there be an iZombie, iVampire crossover?
No, it's Vertigo.
Oh, okay.
You can't do that.
So we've broken down the walls, I hear, between the two.
Animal Man from Jeff Lemire and Trevor Foreman. Frankenstein, Agent of Shade from Jeff
you
Lemire
love that
and
book.
Alberto Ponticelli.
Not Shield, not Shield, Shade.
That is my candidate for the book, most likely to be canceled within 6 issues.
Did you read you haven't read the Frankenstein for Flashpoint, have you?
No.
It's pretty good. It's actually pretty good.
Is it written by Jeff Lemire?
I'm not sure who wrote it. But it's pretty good. It's the whole Monster Squad thing. But I mean, it was well written.
Well, this is the Frankenstein that Grant Morrison did. This will be the story of that thing.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
I will rain on you like a
thousand
thousand
hammers.
hammers.
Yes, that's it. Swamp Thing from Scott Snyder and Yannick Paquette.
Yeah.
Batgirl from Gail Simone, RDNCF, and Vince Fuentes.
Okay.
Catwoman's from Judd Winnick and Gilliam March. Birds of Prey from Dwayne Suzinski and Jesus Saiz.
What happened to Gail Simone?
Gail Simone is doing Batgirl, so therefore she can't do
Birds of Prey. Why not?
Because they wanted to sign someone new over at DC that actually people had heard of, and so they went for Dwayne Suzinski.
Okay.
Red Hood and the Outlaws from Scott Lobdell.
Yeah!
That's his third book. And Kenneth Rocafort with Jason Todd, Arsenal, and Starfire fighting together, but yet they're not a team.
Okay.
Let's see what else we got. We got Batwing from Judd Winnick and Ben Oliver, starring the Batman from Africa.
I've heard about that.
He's one of the members in Batman Incorporated.
Okay.
Oh, I don't know. That's another book that I don't think is going to last for long.
It's an African American.
It's just weird. Batman
they're trying to expand the brand.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're really big on diversity in this whole new thing. Okay.
Well, they have been for a while now.
But you got Batman from Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo. Yeah, that's right, Spawn guy. He's wandered over and doing Batman. Detective Comics will be written and drawn by Tony Daniel.
Okay.
Batman and Robin from Peter Tomasi and Patrick Gleason. The same guys are already working on the book, so they're not going anywhere. They're just sitting there. Batman, The Dark Knight, still from David Finch, and yes, even though Finch told Newsarama they weren't starting over, I guess someone called them on the phone and said, yes, you're starting over.
Will issue 3 get out before the new issue 1 comes out?
The first arc will be on the stands, finished and completed before the first issue shows. Because
the first arc 3 issues?
The first arc is going to be whatever they can get done.
Well, all this stuff is supposed to debut in September.
Well, but
we're doing this in June. 3 hasn't shipped yet.
How
long is this story arc?
Well, the fine folks at DC went to David and went, we need to get this thing finished before this new one starts, so you're not drawing the other 2 issues.
Oh, okay. They took it away from him. Okay, got it.
Jay Fabak is doing it. You've also got Nightwing
Okay.
From Kyle Higgins and Eddie Barrows. Now, for those of you who are wondering about Batman Incorporated,
Yes.
the current series will end with number 10. and that'll be it. And then Batman Incorporated will come back again in 2012, and Grant Morrison and artist Chris Burnham will basically do Batman and Leviathan, which is this big thing that Morrison's been playing for Batman since he took it over. And Morrison says once he's done with that, that's it for him as far as Batman's concerned. He's done all he could do with the character.
Okay.
The new status quo, by the way, of all this stuff is one Batman.
Yeah, one Batman.
Bruce Wayne.
A lot of, people were about 50-50 with two Batmans or one Batman. About as many people bitched about being two Batmans as people bitched about, why isn't there just one Batman? Why can't we have two? Why can't we have one? Back and forth. I hate two. I hate just having one. And DC is coming down, I think, with just one Batman for one reason and one reason only. Nightwing is floating around out there and nobody's doing anything with it. After the Nightwing series, the original one, was canceled, they shuffled him back over into the House of L, and you had a Kryptonian Nightwing for like 3 years, who was basically a placeholder for the name. And now that that's over with, you've got the Nightwing franchise floating around some more, so... Dick Grayson slapped him back in the costume.
In the Nightwing book, Dick Grayson will be wearing the costume again, and he'll be based in Gotham City.
Yeah. No Blüdhaven, huh?
No Blüdhaven. Yeah. No Blüdhaven. The first arc has something to do with him basically taking over the running of the circus that his family owned.
Now, the big bitch I've heard about these reboots creatively is the lack of women who are writing any of these books. Gail Simone apparently got shafted on this. She's like the only female writer.
Yeah, she's the only female writer.
And she was taken off of Birds of Prey, and she's doing Batgirl, like you said.
Batgirl.
And she's doing one other book, isn't she?
No, just that.
Just one book?
Just one book.
Just one book. That's been one of the big bitches I've heard about this, is the lack of female writers. I mean, considering how much they're reaching out for diversity, they're sort of ignoring, the female voice.
Felicia Henderson was supposed to write the Static Shock book. Yeah, she got canned.
Yeah.
So that would have been another female writer.
So that's been a big...
The Brits are getting a lot of work done.
Great.
Paul Cornell and Peter Milligan.
Now, to back this wonderful change-up...
Yes!
To back this wonderful change-up, DC, this is balls to the walls, kids. DC is doing TV ads. And this is revolutionary, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent. It's revolutionary because comic book companies never get off their ass and promote their books on TV. Ever, 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 ever.
Yeah.
So what about the TV ads?
They're going to be doing TV ads. This is part of Warner Brothers' plan to really push stuff. It's supposed to be them pushing a lot of DC-related stuff everywhere. The Green Lantern film just opened now in some places, apparently not across the street. There are a lot of Green Lantern Pepsi bottles and cans out there because they want to take advantage of the fact that they own the characters. But you'll be able to see these ads on TV, and I'm assuming in movie theaters as well, because they want... The idea behind them doing the ads is they want to bring in new readers to comics, and they figure that if they run these ads
Which is
on
a
TV,
great idea.
People will sort of fall into the idea going, well, let me go to the store and check this thing out.
Which is a great idea. Of course, if they run them at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Well, yeah, when you're going to do commercials, you're
what's the point?
They're going to run them whenever you're going to run them, so it becomes a question of what shows are you going to buy them.
Run them during the news!
September is usually when the regular fall TV series starts.
Yeah.
So common sense would suggest you'd run it on...
Run it during the fall.
Run it during the fall for premieres and stuff.
Now, Superman is the one getting the big overhaul in this. I've been saying for a while that Flashpoint, the reason Flashpoint happened isn't because DC had this big hard-on to revamp the DC universe. It's because DC is losing Superman, essentially, big chunks of Superman, to the Siegel and eventually the Schuster family in the lawsuit unless they get their act straightened out legally. So, DC can do a Superman, Warner Communications can do a Superman, but not the Superman that we all know and love and care about, but a much better, improved version of Superman. Tell us about the much better, improved version of Superman coming from Grant Morrison and Rags Morales.
Well, Morrison and Morales' Action Comics takes place 5 years before the rest of the other books in this new relaunch.
Okay.
It's basically establishing Superman as the first superhero in the DC universe.
This version of Superman.
Yeah, this version of Superman. In the promo art that they've seen, he's wearing a regular pair of pants. He's got a T-shirt on, which has a logo on it. Now, in Superman Man tomorrow, it'll take place in the present modern-day universe. Mm-hmm. Also, for Jim Lee and Jeff Johns' Justice League book, that book will be taking place 5 years before what's going on in the other books as well. So, but it's more. And there's a video out there of Morrison talking about how cool he thinks Superman is, and so. This will probably be a more mainstream version of his All-Star Superman. It won't be as goofy. But
well, I'm glad he thinks Superman is cool because he ain't doing Superman in this. He's doing some bastardized version of Superman, which isn't his fault because this is what he's being given to do by DC. This is what we have the rights to use and do. Here, Here, make something nice.
Do
out of
something
this.
with what we have here to work with.
Here, you see this pile of crap? Make a
Mold it into something, Grant.
Yeah, make an apple pie out of it.
And he says,
So I'm not going to dump on Grant Morrison for this. This is Warner Communications' big foobar from top to bottom. Apple is going to be doing something with this, the computer company. Not,
well, the deal is the fact that all these books, when they launch in September, they've got to be day and date digital, which means
Yeah.
they've got to be available on iPads, which also means DC's going to have all.
means I'm going out of business.
Well, no, not necessarily. All the 52 books, the first 3 issues of these books have to be in the can by September because, unlike you have a comic book deadline, you got a shipping date.
Yeah.
Comic books and below shipping dates.
Yeah.
In order for these books to be available on the iPad, they've got to be in the hands of Apple to approve when they're supposed to come out. So, if you are late on a book, you will get canned because the books have to ship on time.
Okay. So watch it. You're going to get fired if you don't get them in on time, creators.
Well, Jim Lee's been drawing Justice League for a while, so at some point you just basically go, you got the first 3 issues in, okay, let's bring in somebody else to do the next arc, and you keep coming in to do a rotation stuff.
Now, conspicuously absent from all those books that we've talked about up until this point is Justice Society. Where the hell is Justice Society at?
They don't exist.
Really?
Superman is the first superhero.
Yes.
There aren't any older superheroes. Superman was the first, and he's the only superhero at that point.
So there are no superheroes in World War II?
There is no Jay. No, there's no Jay Garrick. There's no Jesse. Well, who's the other guy? Max Mercury. There's no early.
Well,
none of those characters
Alan
exist.
Scott.
There's no Alan Scott. None of those characters exist because Superman is the first and only superhero when he shows up. Superheroes will pop up after he arrives, and so the older characters don't exist.
So, for those of you who remember how the JSA was shunted off into Ragnarok after the last crisis, go in there again.
They're gone.
You're going there again.
They're gone.
Wow, that was depressing as hell. So that's
They're
it.
gone.
We're done. We're finished. We're out of here. We got
They're
no
gone.
more DC news, and you know what? I really don't want to hear any more DC news after all that. But you can go to the store's website and check out all the DC news that he sends me that I post up. And where's that at? Where's it at?
Sarah knows all this stuff.
www.myalternaterally.com. Tell your friends.
So, stop off at the store's website and check out all of the DC news that Bo sends me. I post up till next time. This is Comic Book Man
And Bo.
saying...
Where are them 52 books at? I want to see them now. Now!
I don't buy any of this for a minute. Bye!
The Video Outhouse is brought to you by some of the finest people willing to work for free. This is a list of some of them.